Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tick, tick. Seconds tick away every day, man. Even while we're on lockdown and quarantine, time is still flowing along. And so today, I thought it'd be a good idea for chapel for us to talk about how we can make the best use of our time during this special time of our life when we're having this fight with the coronavirus. Before we do that, I do want you to be sure you know that we love you and your family. We're praying for y'all, the administration, faculty, staff, the pastors of the church. We really love you guys, and we want to help any way we can. Again, we're praying, but if you need more, give us a shout, and we'll do all we can to help. I hope you're looking at online services on Sunday at your church or at Grace if you're not a part of a church, or you can go to your church and look at Grace as well. We'd love to have you join in. Some good messages from Pastor Jeff. You ought to check it out. But anyway, I want us to look today at Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 and 16. One of my favorite passages of the Bible. It says there, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of your time, because the days are evil." Now, it's a great challenge for us to learn how to live our life the very best we can as we move forward. I want to give you a couple of really practical suggestions about how to do that and a warning at the very end. But let's look at the passage. First, it says, "Be wise." And how does Paul say we're wise? He said, first, we have to be careful. Now, I want you to imagine back when you used to go to restaurants and you're at your favorite restaurant and the waiter is bringing your food to the table. He's got that tray up on his hand and he's coming toward your table and it's full. You're wondering how he's balancing it. If that guy's not careful, he's going to dump it in your lap. You won't get to eat it, you'll wear it. But if you've got somebody who's careful, they'll come and deliver your food to your table and you'll be able to have a great meal. And one day we'll get to do that again. That's what God's saying about the use of time. We have to be that careful, like a waiter bringing the food to your table. He wants us to be sure that this gift of time that he's given us, we're using very well. So he says, be careful how you walk. And so walk is a word picture of like walking through life. How are we going to walk through life and walk through it very effectively so we're able to make the best use of our time as well? And so the challenge is be careful how you walk. Think about it. Don't just be flippant about it. Don't mess up as you're going along. But then it says that, so Paul, like he's saying, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make the best use of my, how am I going to be wise and careful as I walk through life? And he says it's by making the best use of time. Time is the key. It's the factor that we often forget about because we think we have an unlimited supply. The truth is it will eventually run out. We have 168 hours a week. That's all we've got. We've always had it. We have it now in quarantine. We had it before. We'll have it after. It's the hours that God has given us. In 75 years of life, it says we will use something like 2.5 billion seconds. In 15 years of life, it's 473,354,280. I love Siri. I can pull up facts like that all the time. It's great. But listen, it's the tick, tock, tick, tock. The seconds are ticking by. And how can you and I be make the very best use of the time that we have? Even though it's a unique time in our life right now, we got to make wise use of the time and set those patterns now for the future. Listen, we used to call hanging out killing time. What are you doing? I'm just killing some time. Listen, killing time is not just murder, it's suicide because it's our time. It's the gift that God's given us. And so we don't want to kill time or just hang out. We want to make the best use of our time. That's the challenge that we have. A very interesting note that I read as well said this: wasting the gift of time insults the giver of time. Boy, isn't that convicting? God gave us the time. We don't want to waste it. Not something he's given us, so precious a gift. So let's figure out how do we do that. Now, I want to give you those two practical suggestions. Hope you'll really think about using them, and then I'm going to end with a warning. And and let's apply this passage. My first one is, do something big. I mean, dream bigger than you've ever dreamed before. Right now, it feels like we're constricted. We're stuck in our houses or wherever you're at. You can't get out very much. I'm even making this video just in my backyard by the lake. But let's dream big. Think of Noah. He built an ark. He had never even seen any rain. God told him it was going to rain. And he builds this huge boat. It took him 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Who knows? We're not really certain. But it took somewhere maybe close to 100 years to build. But it was a big project. But he dreamed big, and he did it. And how about David? David, the great warrior and the great fighter, the great military leader. He killed Goliath, but he also played the harp. He learned how to play a beautiful musical instrument, and he wrote the Psalms that we have in the book of Psalms. Or how about his son Solomon, who built the temple? Beautiful building, incredible. You read through the story and you think, man, it just took so much effort and time and coordination. But Solomon had the gift of leadership to be able to do that. Paul, the great missionary journeys we've just studied in 9th and 10th grade Bible, just a wonderful opportunity to see how a man took a vision of a relationship with God and spread it around the world. What are you going to do to dream big? Bigger than you ever thought before. Bigger than you ever felt like you could ever accomplish. What might it be? Maybe it's writing a book. You say, I'm too young. No, you're not. Take the challenge. What about a beautiful picture, painting? Do some painting that you've never done before. Paint a picture, or maybe paint a whole mural on a wall, or maybe paint your house. Do something that's bigger than you've ever tried to accomplish before. Maybe you're writing a play, or maybe a playbook for your team. Maybe you're designing the building and planning the plan to one day go and build it. The sky's the limit. But dream big. Use this time not for idle craziness or just not doing anything, hanging out. Don't kill your time. Use it. Use it wisely. The second suggestion is, oh, by the way, I just wanted to mention, there was this guy named Erskine, and he wrote a beautiful novel called Helen of Troy. It's interesting that he wrote it in little brief snatches of time while he was riding on his way to work or home from work. I think it was on a streetcar back in those days, but it'd be like a subway. He wrote, and so he didn't sit down with big blocks of time. He didn't have it. He was working a job. He was busy. But he did it in the little bits of time, the minutes, the seconds, the tick-tock of life. And that's when he wrote this beautiful novel. Don't give up on those little snatches of time either. They may be used wisely. You could build into a big piece of time, right? Second suggestion. I want to suggest you use your time for creative evangelism. Man, we've got access to people we'll never have again. Right now, they're listening too because they're in a lot of pain and hurt and they're scared. Many of them don't know what the future holds. Some of them have lost their job. Some of them have people who are sick. Some perhaps even have died and didn't they know? So people need hope. They need help. And what better hope we could give them than the message of the gospel? Maybe you want to work on your own personal testimony. We're doing that in 9th and 10th grade this week. But maybe you work on that so you can communicate clearly your faith to other people online. Maybe you post the 3 circles or some other illustration. There's a great illustration both with the Billy Graham Crusade and with the Navigators. You could Google either of those organizations, and it's a bridge illustration about how you come to Christ. That might be something to post, and 1,000 other ways. But creatively, get online, or maybe on the phone, give people a call, or for goodness sakes, write them a letter. They haven't gotten one of those actually in the mailbox, and they haven't gotten one of those forever. Maybe you share your testimony in written form that way. But be creative in your evangelism. It's an opportunity that we will never, ever have again to make a difference for the kingdom. And maybe even those of you that have a Who's Your One from last fall, somebody you've been praying for, maybe this is the time to talk with them. Now a warning. When I asked my son-in-law and daughter what would be the most important thing that I could share with you as my students and our secondary students, they said immediately, both of them said, be careful in the use of social media. Right now, you and I are on our devices more than we've ever been before, perhaps. Certainly more than we are during the school year. We have them all the time, and everybody's busy. Your parents have got stuff they're juggling, trying to do work from home or figure out how to make ends meet. And you need to be responsible, just like Mr. Dupere has been telling us day in and day out, week in and week out. We need to be really careful and really accountable with our use. That passage we studied, you remember at the very end, it says, making the best use of our time, for the days are evil. There is an evil out there. Over in 1 Peter, it says the devil is roaming around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now, years ago, I went backpacking with a couple of guys from my youth group up on the Appalachian Trail in New Hampshire. We had backpacked for 3 days. It was a long, hard hike. We're going up a lot of hills, and we're all from Florida, and it was crazy. It was tough, but it was a lot of fun. But we were hungry. I mean, we've been eating trail food. Man, when I got to the first place that I could eat a real meal, I devoured the food. I didn't just sit there and eat it and pick at it. Man, I just inhaled it. You've been like that before. You know what it's like. The scripture says Satan is roaming around like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. Here's what I imagine. There's nothing wrong with your devices. Nothing wrong with social media. In fact, for goodness sakes, it's allowing us to do education. 1,000 other things. We're staying connected now because of it. It's a good thing. But I can just imagine weaving his way in and out those walls and posts, weaving his way out of every social media thing we've got. Satan is looking and searching so that he can devour you and me. Don't let that happen. Stay accountable. Find somebody that will hold you accountable. Be sure, let your parents, don't wait for them to ask. You show them your phone. You show them your other devices. Don't have anything hidden there that no one can see. Bring it out into the light so everyone knows about it. Even if it's a struggle and a problem, if you bring it to someone's attention, bring it into the light, you can get some help. And we would love to do that with you. But, find a youth pastor, a life group leader, a teacher, a parent, someone, an adult in your life that will hold you accountable and see what we can do. But listen, it's going to be a great time. Make the best use of your time. Don't waste it. It's a precious gift that God has given us. It's the seconds, the tick-tock of time. Take these 2 suggestions. Dream something big. Share the gospel. And then take the warning. Don't get messed up. As Satan's trying to trip us up with our devices in particular. And listen, every time you see a clock, every time you look at one, you see that on an analog clock, you see that second hand ticking away. Or you pull up your watch, or you're looking at your digital clock on your phone. When you do that, I want you to remember, ask yourself the question, am I using every minute of every day the very best way possible? Love you. Can't wait to see you some way other than Zoom before very long. You take care now. Bye-bye.